All right, Ken. It's Wednesday.
You know what that means.
And we're early. So here we go.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's raise the bar. Hey! Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a
Ken, we made it.
Hello.
Here, I got to figure out how to get the. They just changed the buttons on me to make me not understand how to use it. I don't want the chat going over you, Ken.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's see. Where's my chat? Oh, there it is. Hang on.
We're going to need a restream tutorial at some point.
I know they keep changing. It's like they just, which I'm glad. I'm glad they, give us all kinds of stuff here. But come on. Let's see. Item no overlay off. There we go. I don't know what I did, but there's the overlay. Now
we're
like,
now we're like neighbors in adjoining apartments.
I feel like we're on the what's
Hollywood
it called?
Squares.
Hollywood Squares or the Brady Bunch tutorial.
Oh yeah.
There we go. I like that one. That's pretty cool.
Go.
Coach Vader and
The Slender Spartan. Great.
Slender Spartan are here again. So it feels like we haven't done this in a while because we did the Empire Strikes Back last week.
Act 3. And what
Act
a great
3.
time that was.
I'm telling you, who was what was it? Is it Todd? No.
Tim
Was he doing Yoda and Luke at the same time?
He was doing Yoda and Luke at the same time. We had Patty, who did like 3 different Imperial officers.
Yep.
And then we had Joe doing a couple. He was doing Vader and the Emperor, so he's talking to him. So we had a bunch of instances this time around, this act, where the same person was talking to themselves as different people. So they're all doing their best D. Bradley Bakers.
Right. And then Coach Vader's here again. So we got, thank you. Well, again, if you can always join in. We'll have a sign up coming up for the next one once we get things straightened out. But Ken, before we start, real quick, where can people find you that are just tuning in?
Well, I'm on a third of a dozen different shows. Every Wednesday, or most Wednesdays, you can find me here on the Inflatable Falcon co-hosting with you. Every once in a while, I bounty hunt across the galaxy with our buddy Todd. I sit down at the Bantha Milk podcast around the Dejeric table with Robert, David, and Tom. And then I've got this little show, the solo show, called The Rambling Star Wars Fan. And if things go smoothly, I'll have a new episode of that out within the next 2 weeks. And you've got a whole bunch of irons in the fire right now.
Well, yeah, I have the Inflatable Falcon, which is I guess that's my flagship, maybe? Is that my flag? Would that be the mothership, flagship? Yeah. Star Wars Geek Girl, helping Zoe out with that. I was actually a guest on her latest episode, just because Lizzie's working crazy. I'm using the controls wrong. Anyway, here's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to change that background. I just didn't like that. There we go. Anyway, I was on Zoe's show, and then I have 500 First Cast, which the new episode comes out tomorrow, the 5th. So, hi, Anthony. The new episode for the 500 First Cast comes out tomorrow at 11:38 a.m.
Fantastic.
501st on the 5th. And that idea comes from Ken, our own, man Ken. But me and the boys are on. So it'll be tomorrow afternoon, depending on what time.
Not to spoil anything, but how many reports did you get in?
I think 1 or 2.
Okay,
maybe.
That's awesome.
But and I misread. I read one report wrong, so you can hear me mess it up. And everyone got a quick laugh, but it was a good episode. So we're trying to we're trying to learn as we go, build the ship as we fly it, kind of thing. Take what was good in the past, but put our own stamp on it, and we all kind of, we all have our own opinions, and we seem as so far they seem to kind of gel together pretty well.
One of the things I like about the 501st Cast, actually 2 things I like about the 501st Cast. Number 1 is you guys. Your crew seems to get along really well, even though you haven't been, recording episodes together for a long time. The rapport that you have with each other is just wonderful to witness. And to your point, even though your opinions aren't the same, there's still that room for those different opinions. So it's not as if anybody shuts the other person down or talks over the other guy. It's really nice to know that wherever they land in their opinions towards Star Wars stuff, the shared thing is we like Star Wars.
Right. And that's what's kind of cool about it is we all, I think, unintentionally, but like individually intentionally, but unintentionally as a group, we all are the kind of people that like to talk about what we like. And even when we've had some things that we haven't liked after the show's over, just like we do on here sometimes, we might have some behind the scenes discussions. Well, here's what I thought, but it's not what we're about on the show. And we all kind of have done that without getting a memo.
Yeah.
This is what the show is all about. So
sounds pretty adult to me.
I know.
As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun doing it. It's different than doing it. I miss doing it live. Like I still think I like live better. You know, I mean, it's just different. I don't know if with 4 or 5 hosts we could do it live, and you know, like we don't uh, edit it after really, unless there's some really major flub. But we try to use the Restream platform to put mix in. Like we got a bunch of people that sent in bumpers, so we try to put those in. And I don't know if doing it live would work because we have to, there's more timing involved in that regard. So it's kind of nice doing different kinds of podcasts.
Yeah.
I hope that nothing ever in my mind replaces this Wednesday time for me. This
Well,
is,
if you don't let it be an option,
huh?
if you don't let it be an option, it won't replace.
No,
it.
but I'm saying I hope that I always like just this, what you and I have built. I do like your mall shirt. Did you get the new mall comic that came out today?
Not yet. I gotta go find that this week.
Did you find Jar Jar?
I did. I was
Okay.
very, 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 very happy about that.
Okay. I didn't go look. I meant to go look. And then honestly, what happened for me Saturday was the weather was just so nice. It was hard to go do anything that involved going indoors, So
Yeah, we spent much of our time out and about on Saturday. We went up to Philadelphia and went to the Franklin Institute. They've got this Universal exhibit, and we spent some time bebopping around. And it was
nice.
Really, really no jacket. I mean, a light jacket, but no mittens, no hats.
It is weird how 59 degrees feels really warm now. Come August, if we got a day of 59, we would all be hoodied up.
Yeah. I wonder, considering that you're getting a bunch of submissions for the bumpers, I'm wondering if you give it a different name so that way you can cluster them together. So, like in this section of the show, we're going to do a round, not a round table, a rotisserie of bumpers or whatever.
I hope that becomes a thing, and eventually I'd like to figure out a way to take those bumpers and just do a montage if we get enough. Zoe chimed in. I wasn't looking at the names, and I saw Zoe Mall. Yeah, Zoe. There's a really cool comic book like right down the street from where she works.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the comic book stores close to me at home have all closed.
When I went to visit LA with Zoe, I think there's at least a half dozen comic book stores not that far from where she lives.
Yeah, there's a couple where I got the Jar Jar comic. It's closer to where I work, but it's still it's not on a path that I frequent.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go out of my way to get it, which I'm open to, because Heather and I went out the other day to get the Jar Jar Binks comic, and I was so happy. And we managed to get first run, so I know
Nice.
that they're doing another printing of it because it was really popular.
Yeah,
So I'm glad I was able to get a first printing of it.
That's cool. Yeah, I have to see if I can get one, but I'm just like I said, it's for me. We have a good comic book store in Lancaster, but it's just like out of the way. Like it's not even. There's places that are close. It's not far, but it's just like I don't head that way that much. So
yeah.
So that's our podcast. That's our intros. So Ken, any costuming work with you?
I did more research, and I think when I say research, for those who haven't listened to the show, on Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken, we've got this little contest going between the two of us. We both have agreed to build a new costume to be debuted for Halloween. And we let fate decide, we let force decide, we rolled dice to determine which property from Star Wars we were going to pick our costumes from. Todd's dice roll was Andor, so he has to pick a costume from Andor to make, or at least be inspired by.
Right.
And mine, surprisingly enough, was the 1985 Star Wars Droids cartoon. Or I could have chosen from the Ewoks cartoon. But I've narrowed it down to about 5 different costumes. And one of the bonus features of this contest is we wanted 2 bonus features. We want to do it in less than $100.
Okay.
So we want it to be very budget friendly, and if possible, to see if either of the costumes could be approved by one of the Star Wars costume clubs.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So the 5 that I've narrowed it down to, I've got a random Rebel. I've got a random Imperial, and the funny thing about that is the Imperial in Star Wars Droids. Spoiler warning for those of you that haven't watched it. He wears a beret, and I don't think I've ever seen an Imperial officer wear a beret before.
No, but I would think a beret would be what you would wear if you don't have your helmet on. You know what I mean? That seems about right.
well, it also protects you from helmet head and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it would fit under your helmet.
It could, especially if you don't have the the foam padding inside. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it could work. It could absolutely work. And then I've also thought about doing some of the more main characters. So Thal Jobin, Mungo Baobab. Actually, no. Now it's 6 characters.
You're just making words up now.
Yeah. What syllables can I mix together? Mungo Baobab, Kybo Ren, and Admiral Screed. So those are the ones that I've narrowed it down to. Now I just have to, make the decision, pick one, and go with it.
Yeah, well, it looks like Spartan has a bunch of work done too, so that's kind of cool. And we do have Zenkai Con coming in Lancaster. So if you just like to look at costumes, it's really worthwhile going to downtown Lancaster, get some Amish bakery stuff at the Central Market, and then just walk around the corner and see all the Zenkai Con people coming down. So
with the nice weather, did you get any work done?
Yeah, I think we have good weather. I mean, that's the end of the month, so it's a while away. We have our regional robotics tournament Saturday. So my mind has been on robots. But I did a little bit of costuming, not really related to me. I am working on, let's see, how many sets? Three,
right?
4, 5. 5.
Oh, okay.
5 sets of, well, 6 if I'm working on Zoe's at the same time, her live action speed. But just for the school, I'm doing 5 sets of Mando. Oh yeah, and go to Troll Market, Zoe. You're right. Go to Troll Market. But I'm working on 5 sets of Mando for my kids. So I'm doing, and it's a mismatch. So it's they're middle school students on my news crew. I did 3 sets of which I thought I was doing Pinto armor, but I was just in a hurry to throw it on the printer. I did 3 sets of chest armor for Beskar for the boys. I did 2 sets of Sabine chest armor for the girls, live action. And then I did for the girls, I did the Bo-Katan shoulder bells, just because they have the mythosaur detail on them, which I thought would look kind of cool. And then for the boys, and then I did the Bo-Katan gauntlets and hand plates. And then I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do a Bo-Katan helmets for them. I gotta look at what files I have. And then I did for the boys, I did his gauntlets. I did Pinto gauntlets. Those I did the Pinto gauntlets. I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure now. I'm not sure what file I loaded them from, but I did them each a set of gauntlets. And then I did I'm going to do the Fortnite. I forget what it is. It's called Strength. Is that the one, or Loyalty? The one that I made, my suit has the visor, and it has the brow down the middle, and I think it has some bolts on the side.
Okay.
I got those from Galactic Armory. This is not like a paid advertisement, but because the printer at school that I'm using for the school for the students is smaller, it's the if you have a smaller print bed, like under 300 millimeters, a lot of the files in Galactic Armory are cut at the seams, so I can just put them there. And now I can't do any weapons for the kids or anything like that. I think I have some cloth. I'm going to make some random capes, and I'm going to make them like a sash instead of a belt, because they're just going to wear like black sweat pants and then we're going to pre-film the morning news for that day.
You could also have them wear scrubs.
Yeah,
Like,
but they might not have scrubs. Like I'm trying to make this for them. Like they're going to show up. We're going to shoot the morning news the Friday before everything, and then they won't have it on the day at school when students are around. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to lay all the armor out and try to do one big paint. That Anycubic prints like it's like so smooth to how it prints.
well,
And
if you think the weather's going to be nice or whatever, and it's May, right? May 4th.
It's May 4th, so my plan is to have everything printed by the end of March, and then just take 2 weeks in April and just bang them out.
Well, why don't we plan a Saturday or Sunday, and
Yeah, that
I'll
sounds
come up
good.
and you got an extra set of hands.
Yeah,
That I mean, you can only use 2 spray paints at one time.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I could
so-
I could maybe I can 3D print like a quadro, shoot quad
Okay.
quad paint. No, yeah. I mean, and then I asked the kids for their favorite colors, and then so all of them are all 4 out of the 5 are different shades of blue, and 1 is purple. So
Nice.
I'm going to try to incorporate. I'm going to try to make one of the shoulder bells for the guys because they're smooth. I'm going to make that incorporated with our school logo, and then the other armor. I'm going to make
the cricket too, right?
yeah. I'll cricket out some stencils and go nuts with it, and
Or even do a 3D print that you could put on there, just like you'd put on the
that's true.
the mud horn.
That's true. Yeah. I'm just gonna play. I'm just like I said. My goal is to have everything printed. So what's left to print are the helmets, and I think the hand plates for the boys and the shoulder bells for the boys. But again, the chest plate, the full Beskar chest plate on that printer was 7 hours. So and that's just normal speed. Like if I needed to, I could speed it up.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so that's my only armor. That's my only armor thing I did for now. But any trooping? No trooping for you?
No, there was a big convention out in was it Happy Valley,
Okay.
Pennsylvania that I didn't get to. But
Yeah, well,
I didn't do any trooping.
I know the Delaware. I feel like I'm on a 501st cast now. I know Delaware did the polar plunge or something like that Sunday.
Yeah, the New Jersey one was delayed because of how cold it was.
Yeah, so and we're glad they didn't do it Saturday because it wouldn't have been much of a polar plunge when it's like 60 degrees out. I mean, it still would have been.
You're talking they're plunging into the ocean. It's still cold.
It would have still been cold, but it wouldn't have had the same.
Well, but getting out would have been more pleasant on a warm day than it would have been on a January day.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only troop, and then the only other trooping news when we talked just earlier, the 501st cast comes out tomorrow, so, and that's it, and yeah, and then we have Ken was not supposed to be here today, but thank goodness he was. We did have last week. We had the third
act of Empire Striketh Back.
Third act of Empire Striketh Back, and then I did get a text from Zoe. I think Zoe, she's still on. But she might have some friends that want to do the Shakespeare thing too. So we might have some even more players. So that's kind of cool.
Well, the more players we have, the less likely it is that we have to have actors talking to themselves.
Right. Also, then it's less chance I have to read stuff and flub up the lines. So that's even better. So that's cool.
But then would it really be the Inflatable Falcon without flubs?
Well, we could just well, that's true. That's true.
We'd have to flub it up just to flub it up at that point.
Maybe. But
then it wouldn't be us.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But yeah, and then Zoe showed me the trailer to the new podcast racing game.
You hadn't seen it before?
I hadn't seen it before. you know. So I watched it and got to talk about it like I knew what I was talking about. So, um, but yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the game now. I mean, it's arcadey, but I'm still my favorite Star Wars game right now is still Fortnite when I can be a I know it's not really a Star Wars game, but my favorite Fortnite wearing that armor is just so cool.
See, one of the things I think would be fun, and I have no idea how this would be at all possible, is if you could just choose a map and say, okay, I want to do Fortnite, but I want to go to the Star Wars map. I want, you know what I mean, where they had the Star Wars weapons, because they had the Simpsons Island, and you had
Yeah.
Simpsons weapons, or they had, whatever. That's what I like. Then, like,
Well, May is around the corner, so it's probably coming back.
maybe.
See,
Hard
this
to
is
say.
I did better with the Star Wars games because I understood which weapons were more powerful. Like now, I just don't know real weapons enough, so I'm like, oh, that machine gun looks a little better. You know what I mean? Um, oh, there we go. You got to listen to Low Red Moon and play Outlaws. That Zoe keeps telling me I have to play Outlaws. I just every time I sit down, I look at all those games, and I think I just naturally go to Fortnite. It's just more of like
Well, the challenge with Outlaws versus Fortnite, one is you can jump in and jump out at any point in time, and it can be satisfying or frustrating. With Outlaws, it's an investment because you have to be willing to play out the story, even if it's I'm going to get in and I'm going to do a quest or a side quest or a whatever. It's a commitment. You have to remember the buttons. You have to remember where you were, where you're going, all that kind of stuff. But with Fortnite, you just drop in, play, and go.
wait a minute, on Game Pass, you don't have to buy Outlaws.
Yeah, so if you have a subscription to Game Pass, they
Oh
have
yeah,
a list of games that are now free to play.
I don't think I have a subscription.
Well, if Zoe has one, then you have one.
No, because she has a different account. I think. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I'll try it. I'll try it again. I just have to, get some time. I need to make a list, and when it rains, just remember when I'm wandering around the house in a circle, not knowing what I should do, I should just say go play, Outlaws.
Or go read the Jar Jar comic, or go
Or- yeah,
rewatch
yeah.
rewatch Skeleton Crew. 'Cause I'm sure you've only seen it 3 times.
No, I think I'm up to 4 on Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
But Skeleton Crew is another one of those ones where I think I've watched the Major Tom video more than I've watched the show because it's just that I like that song, But you think I have so so I might be paying for it and not realize I'm paying for it. So that could be true too. It could be one of those millions of things. Oh, okay. It's just enough money that you're
Yeah, you don't really notice it's gone
yeah.
because you signed up for auto pay one time and forgot to.
Yeah, and then
turn it off.
in August, like I'm like, what is this? However much it is a year. So
Yeah.
that's probably what it is. And then I'm always like, well, I'll cancel it by next year, and I never cancel it. But yeah, anyway. So I don't think we got any Star Wars news this week.
There's always Star Wars news.
I know, but nothing like earth shattering.
There's going to be a new issue of Empire released.
Oh yeah, tomorrow with Grogu and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of I think Star Wars must just sell that magazine. I guess whatever whatever fandom it is sells it.
One of the things I do find curious, so speaking of Grogu and the attached movie that he's going to be in soon, that's coming out in May. Yet we have Shadow Lord coming out in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
There has not been nearly the same amount of buzz for Shadow Lord as there is for the Mandalorian Grogu movie.
Yeah, I think most of the time the animation, you already have to be in that Star Wars tent to really care about it. Like, I feel like there's a better chance of some random non-Star Wars person walking into a and watching the Mando movie in the theater than they would to just randomly start watching the Darth Maul cartoon.
Yeah,
Like
but you don't get new watchers without figuring out.
no, I agree, but I'm saying sometimes that like that's how they think. Like I don't think that's the right way to think, but I think that's because I always tell my students about visions and all this. Like they're like, I don't like Star Wars. I'm like, well, do you like anime? Oh yeah, well then you should try visions and stuff. But thinking of this here, let's try this. We have our first. I guess we got a commercial, right? Let's see if I can. We got a first commercial from Marcus, and then we'll come right back. But it's only a 30-second. It's less than a 30-second commercial. But this is a good commercial, and Zoe, watch this commercial because there's a shirt on this commercial that I think you need to buy next time you see Steel, and then you can comment on if you see which one it is. There you go.
Gotta get them.
What shirt? What shirt do you think, Zoe? What shirt do you think you should wear for Steel if you saw it? Maybe she might be driving home by now. But I like the Han and Greedo one.
McClunky.
Yeah, McClunky. So he has a bunch. Marcus is a good guy. I don't know. Has he been on this show yet?
He recorded with us the first time that we did the Shakespeare, didn't he?
He did the Shakespeare. Did he do it with us, or was it when we did the original Shakespeare with CaritaCast?
I wasn't with you when you did the CaritaCast one, I don't think.
Also, then maybe he did record with us too.
Or maybe I did do it when it was the CaritaCast. Because Colin was involved, right?
Yeah, because CaritaCast, he was over at my house because we didn't have the capability, and I was standing next to him watching him do Obi-Wan and C-3PO together.
Maybe it was CaritaCast.
And that was
because we've only done
Empire Striketh Back, right? No.
I thought we did a New Hope and Empire Striketh Back.
No, I think New Hope we did on CaritaCast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think New Hope.
It's been a long time. I forget stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, so he sent us that clip. So if you want to check it out, check out his stuff. It's pretty cool. I would say he's a sponsor, but he doesn't give us anything for free. We didn't ask for anything for free, but he's a friend of ours starting out. So check out his stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Yeah. So I like it. I like that kind of art. I like the Han and Greedo, but the other stuff I like that it's Star Wars if you know, and if you don't, it still looks cool. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the subtlety of it all.
Yeah, I think he falls into the category of FOTS, friend of the show.
Yeah. And he does. So he's in the 501st. He does a TK, but he also has the Jawa riding the Gonk droid. Have you ever seen that before?
Yes, not in person, but
yeah, he did an event with me at my wife's school, and he was a big hit. The Jawa, and it's weird to watch because how he's sitting, but after I was in my TK and he was in that, and after a while you started thinking, oh, I think he really is sitting on that because the illusion really takes over. He was also one of the stormtroopers in the Han Solo Chronicles too.
Yes,
he's the guitar playing one. If you ever see any of the clips, we have the one playing a guitar, like air guitar. That's him. But he's a good guy. So there's March Madness coming up. We don't have March Madness here. Oh, that's the other news. I'll go in a second. But Star Wars Geek Girl has March Madness. So if you can go over to Star Wars Geek Girl, and pick your winning people for your bracket and vote for them and see who wins. But there was the news. There was all the awards announced since we've last done this. Skeleton Crew got a bunch of awards. The Young Jedi Adventures got some awards.
And I think Andor got some more.
And yeah, well, Andor, they should just call them the Andor Awards, I think, is
I just love the fact that the awards aren't given to just a single part of Star Wars. You know, so
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
to show that the skills and the talents are spread throughout. Because you know, when you listen to some folks, like Star Wars sucks, except for Andor, or
right.
but the awards definitely show otherwise, and it's not just you or I thinking that, but it's the people in the business that know. And you know, I know it's not specifically Star Wars related, but Harrison Ford recently was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. And if
Right.
you haven't listened to his acceptance speech, you should at least 3 times, just because it was very, very touching, sincere, and heartfelt.
Especially for him, who every interview for the last 60 years has been, I don't really like what I'm doing.
He's been a gruff guy, and it's kind of funny that I think he said something to the effect of, "I'm halfway through my career" or something.
Well, there you go.
You know, so he's still a working actor.
Well, and he did thank Spielberg and Lucas too. So that was nice. I mean, not that they need his thanks, but I think sometimes, you know, the people that get people started get forgotten. That so I thought that was really nice. I watched. My wife watches Shrinking, and so I started watching it. And Harrison Ford's in it. It's really good too. So
Oh, cool.
I think it's on Apple TV. I think that's what the streaming service is with. But yeah, the award season. It is nice to see that the shows are getting awards. Like you said, and also I think Star Wars. It seemed like Star Wars, other than the special effects, they all the other Star Wars stuff kind of got ignored for the longest time for awards. It was almost like it's like they were like the superhero films before superhero films came out. You know?
Yeah, the only thing that I think they got, if it wasn't special effects, it was usually music.
Yeah.
You know, but now they're getting things like with Andor, it was writing or costumes, or you know, so it's really nice to see. And you know, Young Jedi Adventures is another example of how it's not even just the live action stuff, even the animation stuff, you know, is getting attention for what it is.
Yeah.
I may not have watched every episode 16 times, but the episodes that I did watch were fantastic.
Well, the Star Wars kids stuff is fun to watch. I mean, the younger stuff, even like I still like that game show they had. I was like, why couldn't they have made that for adults? The young, what was it, Jedi Temple Challenge or something like that?
Well, and see, watching that show specifically makes me think of, you know, the setups that we have at conventions.
Yeah.
You know, is there a way of making obstacles or activities that are low risk for injury but highly engaging like those?
Yeah. Well, I think that's, I mean, the costuming people, the people that are in costume, it's always tough to think of what to do for your setup, because that's like, because you're just building more work for yourself, and many of us have costumes to work on too. You know, it is that like subtle balance of, okay, I'm not going to work on my costumes for 6 months, but I'm going to work on, like you said, X, Y, or Z. But yeah, that would be neat. I always like the things that are good photo ops and let kids do stuff for free, because especially at cons, parents need a break from spending money when you take your kid to a con.
Yeah, and having the photo ops that if the photo is taken, you know, at a certain angle, you feel like you're in it. So if you can build a cockpit with a space background where you're taking a picture over the console at the person in the chair, the background is, or
Yeah.
or something along those lines. So it's not just a banner and you have 6 people lined up shoulder to shoulder to shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, and everyone's standing there awkwardly. But there's definitely some more creativity involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. So I mean, this year is going to be a good lead up into 2027, because the Darth Maul thing, I'm hoping just gets more interest, brings back some of the people that were big Clone Wars fans, that brings them back in, and Grogu. Again, everyone's going to want to be a Mando again. At least from the trailers I'm watching, everyone's going to want to be a Mando. Other than Zoe was sending me some pictures of Rod of the Hutt. He looks pretty tough too.
Well, those vibro axes that he carries are pretty badass.
I mean, I have those there. Now I got to get a set.
Yeah, but those are just plain old axes. When you look
That's
at those,
the Gregorian Guard axis. Yeah.
yeah, when you look at the ones that Rada has, you can even see the little motors on them to make the blades vibrate. It's pretty impressive the way they're built.
Yeah, that should be a really good time for everybody. I still haven't seen any troops though. Have you?
No, I haven't seen anything like that. I figured that, the theater. Then again, I don't know how the theaters plan this sort of stuff out, and I don't know if the costume clubs themselves reach out to local theaters and say, "Hey, I know you're going to be showing this movie in May. Would you like to have some of us show up on one of the days?"
Well, I know in the past, now I can only speak of when I knew it. It seems like the theaters that had the best interactions with all of us, but the ones that had the best interactions were the ones we called. You know what I mean? Like the ones that said, like, I remember, I think it wasn't Force Awakens. I don't think. Zoe can probably correct my memory. We have Penn Cinema here, which is our biggest cinema in Lancaster County, I think. And they didn't have anything for Force Awakens. And then I called them and said, "Hey, when's your last showing of Force Awakens? I would like to have a bunch of our costume people." I said, "We'll pay to come do it." And I think they were like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then when we did it, after we did that, then they started having the 501st there. Like we had to reach out to them to do it. I'm pretty sure is how that worked there. I forget exactly how that worked, but we did the same thing with Rogue One and stuff like that.
Well, see, and I think that's one of the pieces of costuming clubs that gets missed sometimes, and that's the dual way relationship.
Yeah.
Some of the costume clubs are, the requesters should come to us. We are the owners of the costume. If they want us, then they should approach us, which makes sense. We don't know what desires there are. However, if we are used to going to certain places in our neighborhood, what's the harm in saying, "Hey, Penn Cinema or United Artists down the road, whichever theaters that you go to." I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are folks like myself who would be interested in wearing our costumes to be in your lobby during such and such.
Well, and what people sometimes forget, because we did it was not they have the Thon in Penn State. So when I was years ago, I had a student teacher. She was my student teacher from Delaware University, and they did something equivalent to raise money for something. And we were sitting there, doing the student teaching stuff like that. And I said to her, "Well, I'm a part of a Star Wars costuming group." I said, "We can come do that for you." And it was cool, and they loved it, and they had a great time. And then so I passed it off to the Delaware people, and then they never did it again. But what they forgot is the person who's in charge of that changes every year, and that's what happens at movie theaters and all that stuff.
Yep.
And so like Coach Vader was saying, like there is an embargo on stores. I know, like Free Comic Book Day is one of the exceptions for the embargo. Like you're not supposed to do things for stores for profit. I know, like the sports teams, there's certain rules that fall along those lines. But I think sometimes people get confused with the rules. You can still reach out to places and say, and if you're honest, like if the costuming groups are honest and say, look, hey, we can't verify yet, but like call us this day or this day, and we'll bring people. Because when I called them and I said, look, we'll just show up. I mean, we weren't asking for anything free or anything. I mean, I'll pay. I'll troop and still pay for my movie ticket. You know what I mean? I guess I come from the old school of trooping, that you don't have to give me any water. And honestly, if you can't give me a place to lock my stuff, just tell me ahead of time and I'll lock it in my car. As long as I know what I'm walking into, I'll troop anywhere. And that's what gets you goodwill towards places.
Yeah, especially considering that there are often, different events that happen throughout the year that aren't necessarily, the big blockbuster opening. So, for instance, in 2027, I don't know if you've heard the rumor, but A New Hope is going to be in theaters again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and so Coach brings up a good point. LFL has to approve if you're going as the 501st, which is true. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it doesn't mean you can't reach out as just a costumer and then follow up. Oh, well, by the way, it is approved now. We can go as the 501st Legion, because it's just but yeah, like you said earlier, you have to those personal skills and talk to people. And I don't most of, like, at least at the Legion level, most of the headaches that are caused by the costuming groups is merchandise, less than actual trooping. Like, depending on who you talk to, they'll be like, oh, well, it always comes up in all the trooping groups. Well, don't wear this to a strip club. And I'm like, first off, is there that many people going to strip clubs? And why would you wear stormtrooper armor to a strip club? You know what I'm saying? Like that seems to be like I guess, is that a straw man argument? They would always make
Well, they picked the most extreme kind of thing. Like, don't wear this to the local mud wrestling contest.
Right. And then I think it's a little better, but at a certain point too, the costuming groups always felt like they had to police everyone with a Star Wars costume. And I understand their point, because you don't want some idiot in a stormtrooper armor doing something stupid, but it's like, you just worry about your people. People,
Yes.
That's that.
And for what it's, you can't control whatever. If someone's going to do something stupid, they're going to do something stupid.
Right.
Whether they're in the costuming club or not.
I mean, literally, there is Dirty Olaf trying to get a picture from you just miles away from Disney in LA. You can go to the Chinese theater and get your picture taken with a homeless man in an Olaf costume blocks away from Disney, and they're not doing anything about it. You know what I mean? You can get a picture with a really crappy Darth Vader at the Chinese theater,
or Superman, or name Elmo, name the character, and there's someone there with a costume dressed like it.
And I think when I joined the 501st, and it's changed a little bit, and it's all, I'm happy with what they're doing, but we used to own, the only charity we did was collect toys. We did not take a dime. This was pre-Blast a Trooper or Shoot a Trooper or whatever they call it now. We never took a dime for anything. We didn't do, if you wanted to donate, you donated toys. That was it. And it seemed to work out okay. And but then kids don't play with toys anymore, to be honest with you. Like, if a kid's sitting in a hospital and you hand them a Luke Skywalker, they don't, that's just the nature of toys have changed, and so now we have to do charity, and with that becomes more rules and stuff. And I think overall, the Mando Mercs, the 501st, Rebel Legion, Droid Builders, and Dark Empire, I think that's all the ones I worry about, right? Saber Guild. I think overall, for a non-paid volunteer group that helps with all kinds of charity, they do better than the people that do charity for pay, if that makes any sense. Overall,
to a certain degree, yeah.
I mean, if you just went percentage per percent, I would say the percentage of the money that we raise in our charity efforts is none of it's touched by us. It now how it goes after it's given to charity X, Y, or Z, but that's out of our control, you know. But and you and I have spoken before. The best kind of charity, I think, is what you do for that person. It could be at a con, it could be in a library where a kid who may never get out of their hometown gets to take a picture with a really nice stormtrooper costume or something. You can't put a dollar amount on that.
Yeah, and I think some of those events too are even more touching because it's one thing to go to, let's say, the Smithsonian Museum where you can see a stormtrooper costume in a glass case. It's another thing when the stormtrooper kneels down and is,
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder with you, giving the thumbs up or,
Yeah.
arm around you or whatever, high five, and the parents or the whoever's with them takes 76 pictures because they're on a rapid fire and they walk away with 75 pictures from that
Yep.
2 minute exchange.
Yeah, that's the unbelievable. And I'm not knocking conventions, but I think conventions have become the easy troop because they're easy to plan. I mean, I know there's still a headache because you got to get people to show up and all that stuff, but you get your maximum amount of people. And we had this discussion on the 501st cast where that's where you tend to recruit new members most of the time. Like it's hard to recruit a new member at a hospital visit, not saying you can't. But that's where they tend to recruit more people and they tend to, we tend to do more conventions, which they're okay. I mean, you and I had fun at that last convention we did, that troop.
Yeah.
But I still would say these individual niche troops, to me, my best memories are probably them. When it comes to like my, Quinn, right, who did the Biker Scout for our. That was a Make-A-Wish troop that was almost not approved for because they asked too late or whatever. Like 4 of us changed in a field, walked to his house and just give him some stuff, cancer survivor and stuff like that. And he did become a member. Like we not only he did a nice thing for him, and then we also recruited a new member. So
who then gets to carry on that tradition of being that person in the photograph with somebody else.
Right. And then he also stepped up with the Make-A-Wish at Celebration Chicago and spoke with Kathleen Kennedy and spoke with some other cancer survivors and told his story too. So never think you can't get recruits from something like that. And same with hospital visits. You never know that a doctor that like has to spend his day doing the hard work might see, hey, maybe I could join something like this and get a break from, having to deliver bad news or something all the time.
Goodness, yeah, absolutely. And it shows, another side of Star Wars fandom. It's not just sitting in a seat, witnessing something, but it's also taking the inspiration from what you've witnessed and bringing it into the real world. Either through purchase, like I could go on, name the website and buy the pieces already built and I wear them, or from the going to an armor party, from going to the forums and learning how to do it and taking the time to craft it. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, just saying that
there's different paths.
There's different paths to the same kind of thing, meaning I saw the thing, I'd like to wear the thing and share the thing.
Well, and Coach was saying he likes the smaller ones too. And Coach, I think now maybe I'm getting my people mixed up. I think Coach is in the leadership of Garrison Creed. I think maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of it. I get my people mixed up. But the littler ones, the bad part is sometimes the little ones take a little more legwork, because like it's not like a con it's hard for us, but it's usually a contact. Here's a date set up. Where the little ones, like especially when you're talking to people that have never had us, and I don't think we do it anymore. But there for a while, we almost came across we almost came across like, okay, I need this room and we need this much water and no green M&Ms. You know what I mean? And I don't think we ever meant to come across that way. It was just someone watching out for our best interest. They're like, well, look, we need somewhere where they can store their totes. And again, I did a cancer walk with the dog thing one time. They put 2 pup tents up. They thought that was enough for us to change. We're like, we'll just change in our car. You know what I mean? And we were fine with it. And I did a group home in Lancaster. Oh man, this was probably 2012, and they had almost no money, like extra money, and they were going to offer us food. And we were like, so they give us hot dogs and stuff like that. But that was one of probably the most rewarding troops ever. Just,
Well, with the littler ones too, you don't necessarily have to go through the rigmarole of the big setup. Like, we need to bring in the armorer's forge, and we need to bring in a prison cell and a life-size rancor, and a speeder bike that rides around. It can literally just be, we got folks in costume, and you're gonna stand next to this bookshelf, or you're gonna stand next to this flagpole, or whatever it is.
Yeah, we did the New Holland Library 2010, maybe. I don't know. Zoe was little. She was the host reading the questions. She was real little. And that librarian was just happy to get a picture of me checking out a book in my TK. That, like, you would have thought I like cured all the world's ills. She just, can you check out this book? And she handed me a book like I was checking a book out.
And those library troops are the ones where you get more of the creative kind of photographs.
Yeah.
Like you said, checking out a book, or a stormtrooper reading a book on how to aim, or Vader reading something about fatherhood.
And I would recommend to all the costumes. And again, I don't want to belittle the ball games and the cons and stuff, but there's usually enough people for those. Like, try to look at the littler ones, like, again, or if someone is on the team that actually signs them up, go for those. Free comic book day, or I know Marvel, I think Marvel backed out of free comic book day and they have their own, they call it something different now. I don't know, but it's still all free comic book day. Like, find one of those little, like, if you have a favorite comic book store, contact them and say, look, we will come troop, just, because I remember one year this was years ago. It used to be in our garrison, you had to reach out 6 months in advance, and they would only, like, there was all these checklists, and it was just to protect the people, and at the time we had so many people asking. And I remember there was 2 comic book stores in the Lancaster and York area that could not get a hold of anyone ahead of time. So I said, well, look, I'll come troop with Safi. She was a Tuscan at the time, so that was a while ago. I said, we can't say we're with the 501st. We'll come and, and we did that, and it was nice. And I think then the one wound up signing up for the 501st next time, because I told him, I said, what you have to do is tomorrow you need to submit for the free comic book day the day after this year, so you can get put on the list. So, yeah, it's just all how we approach it. I mean, and I'm sure Coach would speak to this. If you're not careful, when you're looking inward so much, it becomes almost, you forget about all the fun.
Well, and you also forget the purpose of the event.
Yeah.
Like, the purpose of the event isn't necessarily getting 16 people lined up just to see you.
Right.
Or for you, or it's not an opportunity necessarily for you to brag about my costume cost X number of dollars, or this many hours, or this many coats of paint, or whatever. If you want to do that, then that's, the event may not be the right place for you.
Well, and some garrisons are getting super creative with the types of troops they do, which is kind of neat. Like I think it was Old Line did a Q&A they trooped and did a Q&A at one where the adults would come and say, well, how do you make this? And it wasn't like you said, it wasn't the money part. They were just curious how they do it. I've seen droid builders do whole slideshows with their droids all apart. We've done them at Steel City where I spoke to with just what you have to do to join, and again, like you said, it's the people don't care about the money. I mean, it's all hobbies. Like, we're all broke and we have to spend it on important stuff, but somehow we all figure out how
to get those crow boots or the fill in the blank printer to make the thing or whatever. Yeah, you betcha. It's all about priorities. It's all about choices.
Yeah. So,
and one of the things I love about some of the events, and maybe it's the people who go to some of the events, there are folks who get just as excited by a little one who shows up in a costume that looks like pajamas and the plastic face looking at, so they come in with a plastic face Darth Vader, and there's somebody else in a Darth Vader costume, like, yes. Or even the people who show up, like, they're bragging about the t-shirt they have on. This is my display of the excitement,
Yeah. Force Awakens. Well, yeah, Force Awakens. Yeah.
The First Order TK.
Yeah. I mean, that's the neat thing, and I think sometimes we just forget it. But like you were saying, Ken, I think this was Steel City, and a guy showed up in Ruby's TK armor, and so this is where I always get defensive when people say the 501st and the Mando Mercs and the Rebel Legion are all elitists. Two of the guy came in his armor, and we all were like, hey, that's really cool. And then the guy who was wearing it said there's stuff he didn't like about it. Two of the guys took him to the back room and helped him fix everything they could fix, because a lot of it was just fit and final fit and stuff. And they didn't have to do that. Like, he was the one, and I see people always saying that the groups are elitist, and they're not elitist, but we've said on this show, it's pretty much the same price to do it right as it is to do it wrong. And
I definitely want to clarify where the groups themselves aren't elitist. Yes, there are criteria to get in.
Yeah.
It's the individuals who behave like elitists.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those folks often get the attention because of the effect that they have on people.
Right. And that's where I understand there are people that are elitist in our groups, but I would say,
it's a minority.
It's a minority. And I would say, if you take any of the groups, take whatever number of groups you are, compare it to your workplace, there is probably more shitheads at your work percentage wise than there are in our groups.
And what's interesting too is, I know that the costuming groups get the flack for that, but let's think about any interest or hobby.
Yep.
Whether you're someone who likes microbrewed beer, or someone who likes coffee, or someone who likes wine, or a stamp collector, or a baseball card collector, there are those folks who will be, nitpicky and like, I only like this kind, or, oh, you're doing it wrong. So it doesn't matter what the hobby is. There are those folks who will take it much farther and much more serious than it needs to be.
Well,
and other folks that make it enjoyable. And
we're like, with costuming, I don't know how it is with the mercs, but and this is sometimes people don't like this, but in the 501st, they do have a basic level to get in. Like, you can build a TK that's not, my TK is not going to be the Centurion status TK, unless I like melt it all down and re-vac form it. It's not going to be that. And I, and what the mercs do with those big plastic cards you have, I thought was beautiful, because you can show people what they have the potential to do without, it's to each his own. I mean, I have my favorite Boba Fett helmet right now that in my collection is that Ruby's one I painted. and I have other ones, but like that's my gold standard right now of my Boba Fett helmets. So
The 501st not in the past.
yeah, but I mean, but see, that's the thing. People still, I wish people would remember that was one out of the 10 guys standing at the thing. You know what I mean? Like, because I've had people that too. But I think I know the approval process was different when I was in, but I think more and more of the GMLs are getting better at understanding the approval process is how stressful it is for a new person. Because it used to be they'd be like, okay, you failed here, good luck, see you next time you submit it. So I think the GMLs have gotten much better at that. I don't know, like for when I did it, it was super simple. Send a picture in. Probably I think I was approved in like 2 days after sending the pictures in.
Well, I think in the past, some of those the approval teams, I think they acted more like goalies.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we have to deflect all the costumes that don't meet our criteria. And I think we've gotten to the place now where many of the people who are in those positions are more along the lines of, how can I this person's presenting their efforts to me. Here are our criteria. How can I help make sure that they've met the criteria? And if they don't, here are the suggestions, maybe even going so far as to say, here's someone in the group who has a costume that's similar to yours that can help you make them. Or here's someone in the group who I know lives close to you who can help you make them. Or there's going to be an armor party in 2 weeks. Bring your stuff there.
Yeah.
I just, bouncing people back and saying, good luck.
Yeah. I think they're more like guides now compared to like, I think goalies is an exact like it was, and I see less and less. And I think like 3D printing and the advent of all of that has made it a little more accessible. You like the people like to use the word gatekeeping and stuff. I think sometimes even in the olden days when people would get up on stage and say, I spent X amount of dollars on this costume, that was a gatekeeping method. Because again, if we all look at dollars for dollars, what we spent, yeah. So coach says I've been approved with adjustment. See, I like adjustments. The Mando mercs were nice with Zoe because Zoe has troops since she was 6 or something like that. And when she submitted for her Sabine, it was her. They liked her Sabine. There was a few things they said you should fix in the future, but they said they weighed all of the good she had done for the Star Wars community, and they let her in, which I was moved to almost tears because her approval happened when she first went to college. So I was feeling like sad dad because my kid wasn't there. You know what I mean? So the head of the Mercs, the big cheese of the Merc sent her a really nice letter, which I thought was cool. Ken, did you freeze? Oh, there you go. I can't hear you. Or you froze for a half a second, or you were giving me the stink eye. It was a weird freeze.
Maybe my microphone stopped. Yeah, I do have a different setup tonight, so
your hand, your wooden hand behind you keeps freaking me out because I keep thinking you're putting your hand up like this, like when I just glance over.
I was trying to figure out how to get a lightsaber to stay in there, but I haven't figured. Maybe I'm going to use some other. Some zip ties or maybe some
rubber bands,
museum putty or something.
Rubber bands. Just put a rubber band around his hand.
Yeah, that could work.
Is that Luke's hand? Is that Luke's hand? Did you find Luke's hand?
Yeah, I found it at IKEA.
Now you're gonna make Luke out of it?
Yeah, we were about the other day. We went to IKEA and they had those for sale.
Yeah, I think I used those as a I was trying to self-build a 3PO hand at one point. And that was like right when I was doing pre 3D printing days. But then I was like, wait a minute, I can just get this file and print it. I'll be fine with that. But yeah, I mean, I think as long as the good people stay in the costuming groups and I guess maybe it's just because it always seems around the 501st election, then there's that whole elitism comes out and people, and I feel like if you don't answer that, like if you don't explain to people that we're not that way and most of us aren't that way, eventually that untruth just becomes common knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and the good, I haven't trooped any since you and I trooped, but I am planning on trooping more. There's not as many troops around my area right at the moment. But I Delaware and Maryland have a couple coming up, so I got to get. What's nice where I am, I have a choice of 3 garrisons within, I'm driving distance pretty quickly. I guess Star Killer, really, I can get the Star Killer pretty quick too. So I have a group of 4. But
Yeah, because you're not that far from the Northeast Remnant.
yeah, Northeast Remnant, I can go up to there. I'm waiting to hear back from. I know we're trying to get something with the 501st cast in the spring too. Try to see if we can get something just like you and I did. I was trying to talk to those guys like to go with our Star Wars panel idea. If we do get our panel at Fan Expo, we'll see what happens. There should be tons of troops with Mando coming back.
Well, Fan Expo is going to be a big deal for the Mercs because it's the Mavaiola clan from Pennsylvania is hosting the Northeast region of the Mercs, and so there are going to be hopefully participants from like 6 or 7 different Mando clans in Philadelphia that weekend.
Yeah, that all groups I won't be able to pronounce their name.
Yes, well, some of them are easier than others. Like the Falco clan, that one's easy to remember.
Is that wait a minute, Falco, like the one-hit wonder in the 80s?
No, I think it was Falco, wasn't it?
No, but wasn't he the one that sang Amadeus?
Maybe. Oop, hold on 1 second. I gotta.
Okay, I don't know.
Go crazy.
Yeah, so Coach, you got this Penguins game. Yeah, I saw the Penguins game. I think that's a school night for me though. But yeah, Fan Expo, I'm looking forward to. I'm trying to get a panel. I can't make it on a Friday. I mean, I probably can do it if I get a panel, but taking off work that time of year is nearly impossible. And then I'm going to look for any small troops. When I used to do a lot of smaller troops in June because I'd be done work, depending on what happens with our snow days this year. But I could do weekday troops. We're re-engineering 000's one arm got broken last time we went to, I think, Steel City. No, I forget one of them. The Philly game's Wednesday. I was thinking that I did the Penguins game a couple years ago, and it was on a school night, so I had to take off school. If this Phillies, or wait a minute, what's this Saturday? The Penguins. That's when I have my robotics tournament. That's my last, unless my kids go to champion. My last robotics tournament is Saturday, so that frees up. Like right now, I'm staying after at school 2 and 3 hours a night, 5 days a week. So, which would be really wonderful if I got paid for it. But it just means I'm hungry and cranky by the time I get home. But today they were driving robots around. So I was happy to see our robots moving. They were taking robots apart again yesterday. I felt like Han Solo once again when Chewie was taking the Falcon apart. But yeah, the Pens game is always fun. Plus the Pens game, you can always almost possibly have a Dave Filoni sighting. You never know.
Depending on how busy he is.
He used to show up all the time, and then when me and Zoe went a couple times, it was like, nah, he's not there. So.
Well, now he's kind of
he's the big cheese now, so
doesn't get back to the East Coast as much.
Yeah. But yeah, Ken. Well, we had a show, man. That's
Yeah. So considering you said big cheese.
Yeah. Oh no, it's since I said cheese.
Since you said.
Oh wait a minute, here we go. We got that. Look, Justin's popping in right when Justin Moore. Welcome, Justin Moore. Have we had Justin here?
I don't think so.
Wait a minute. What lightsaber would you want to see more of?
So when you say Ahsoka Tano's, are you saying Ahsoka
white
Tano's
one?
white blades? For me, my preference is orange.
Orange. See, I thought being a Mando Merc, you'd want to see more dark sabers.
Now, the reason I say orange is because it's a combination. The color orange is yellow and red, and yellow is from like the Temple Guard, and red is Sith. You know, so that orange is that place right in the middle.
Well, see, then wouldn't that make orange be Inquisitor?
Not necessarily.
But
Orange
wasn't
is
the head Inquisitor was yellow?
well, as a Temple Guard, it was yellow. But when orange was like Balin Skull and Shin Hati.
Yeah, I see. I don't know if I can confess this, but like when I was a kid, I was more into the blasters than the lightsabers. Like I didn't really. I mean, I always liked Luke and stuff, but I liked Luke until I met Han. Like I was like, oh, you know, binary sunset and all that stuff. And then I was like, Han, he refers to himself with his thumb. Like that's what I want to be. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
also the same guy who walked around wearing a holster.
yeah, I wore a holster around. You know,
So
way
it makes
too
sense.
long. So
it makes sense why you'd be more into the blasters.
yeah, but I would say I would like a red lightsaber. Like when Vader's lightsaber lights up and you can see his reflection in the armor, or any of those Sith armors where you can just see the reflection on that armor. It gets me every time, you know. And then we got Darth Maul coming up.
Sir,
you know.
yes, sir.
And then remember who was the guy and they had an action figure set of him. He had like a Force multi-tailed whip, and he had stormtroopers that worked for him. He was like a squid head or whatever, but it was like and he came with an action set with his own stormtroopers, but they were like ex-stormtroopers, but they still wore the armor.
I don't know. I don't remember that character. That might have been from the comics.
It may be, but it was a toy because I remember I bought this like back when Entertainment Earth would have these killer sets, and the girls were really into action figures. So I remember like the set was like super cheap, and I was like, "I get 5 stormtroopers." So I bought it for them. Favorite best stormtrooper? Oh, that's a hard question. I bet you at least one person in here is going to say Force Awakens stormtrooper. I'm still New Hope standard stormtrooper / Andor. It's a tie between that one and the Sand Trooper. Sand Troopers have seen some shit.
I'm surprised you didn't say the ones from, was it Rise of Skywalker, the ones with the jetpack?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still like my first Sand Trooper right there, or my TK. I just like that that armor is etched in my thing. Scout Trooper is up there too. Like I think if I would have been born 4 years later, the Scout Trooper would have probably been my favorite stormtrooper. I just think it hit me at that right time. Yeah, the tank. We got the Beskar. Wait a minute. Is that John or is that a different Beskar bucket?
Yeah, I don't know. Haven't seen that name in a while.
Right. I feel like Obi-Wan. I haven't heard that name. And we didn't throw him in a lava pit or anything. Is that the Beskar bucket? John from Ohio? It has to be, yeah, because his picture's the same on YouTube.
I don't see it from where I am. I don't see a picture.
On the chat, can you pull the chat window open? Our version. It is the Beskar bucket. The prodigal son, John. John, does that mean you're doing a tank commander, John? I was pretty sure there wasn't, but you know, like when I'm looking, I didn't see your logo, but now I saw it. I was
Well,
wearing
there's
a
always the chance. I mean, there's Justin Moore 13, so that means that there's at least 12 other Justin Moores.
That's true. That's true.
So
But
there could be another person trying to
well,
lay claim to the name.
someone did steal my name on TikTok for a long time. So they were trying to be me, which is you're really that's a really sad thing that you're trying to be some old guy on TikTok, but you know.
When you got it, you got it.
But Johnny, you got to come on the show again. That's what I'm telling you. Say hi. We're trying to be more professional. We even had a commercial. So, you know, we haven't had a good John and his dad on for a while either. Oh, Captain. Well, you know what? I printed my first Captain Rex bucket for Ken from Galactic Armory. I will say I love those files. Though I wonder, Ken, that helmet, it's going to fit an 11-year-old, but it won't fit on my fat head. Like, I think if I was going to make it for myself, I would elastic the back. You know how some guys like put magnets and elastic in it and it snaps shut. That's all right, John. I still have Vader in the pipeline, so we'll you know. Now I just had a thought and my brain just went blank. But here we go. Hang on. Okay, he's John is coming from. It looks like he's coming from. Are you coming from a war zone here?
I mean, I may as well be.
Oh, there
Old
you go.
abandoned movie theater.
Wait, do you have a beard?
No, not really. Just refusing to shave.
All right. I don't.
So.
You know. So what do you think, John? It's been a minute. Wait, but do you have short hair?
No. I still got all of it.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
just dark. I
was like-
promise.
Okay. All right. So what you been up to, John?
Just working, honestly. So, yeah, that's really it. I'll be honest. I kind of fell out of love with Star Wars for a little bit.
What?
But
Are you back in love? Is the love back?
we're slowly working back into it. I watched the Gorman Massacre again today, and it sparked something in me.
Okay, that's scary there.
It's scary when it is a massacre that brings you back to the fold.
I could say, well, but wait a minute, he does like Revenge of the Sith, so you know there's a good bit of massacring in that too. So
Exactly.
Children, that doesn't really count.
oh, that's good, John. I mean, you know, now I know maybe I'm just not as evolved as everyone because I've never really fallen out of love with it, but I can understand, especially in the climate we live in today, how people need to take a break here and there. But you did it incorrectly, though. You're supposed to announce it on every social media platform 50 times until people get on there and say, "No, don't go."
Exactly. You gotta make them beg you to stay.
Yeah. Now you're still in the Legion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I am still an active member, well, semi-active member, and retired from command staff.
Well, you might have joined command staff too young. You know.
Yeah.
But I did. Have you seen that I brought the 501st cast back?
I did see that.
So now I'm harassing people in multiple garrisons.
Well, there you go. I mean, you gotta widen your net.
Yeah, no, it's you know, so it's me and Ken trooped. Was that January, Ken?
Yep.
I think
Started the year off strong.
trooping with Ken and doing all this stuff, it's made me want to just be the kind of trooper that I've always wanted to be and just do it at my own speed. I mean, me and Ken were like the only troopers there. We were the representative of that one
For a good 4 hours at least.
Yeah. But you know, I'm just going to be that and try to enjoy it as much as possible. So
Yeah. I had a bit of a falling out over the early in the fall, and I hadn't trooped since June of last year. But I made it out to the Tim Tebow Foundation Night to Shine last month. So
Nice. Yeah, that was. I know that's what I heard about it from you. Now you can. I know you're not in command anymore, but you can send us your mission reports or your stories to the 500. I'm just plugging this, and we will read that.
It wouldn't be Mike without a plug.
Right. You can
Exactly.
you can submit it to us so we can put it on air, so it's a lot of fun. Well, you know what the other thing is, 2 days ago was the 6th-year anniversary of when Lucasfilm came to my house to interview Zoe, because they interviewed us March 1st and 2nd.
wow.
And I had to keep my mouth shut till April. So, which, if you guys know me, is almost impossible. So, yeah, Zoe's on tonight. We're had like this is like a big old,
Well, we're getting close to the 200th episode, so
right.
Wow.
make it big.
And you missed our readings of Shakespeare.
Ugh.
So we're on Act 5, right, Ken?
4.
Act 4 coming up.
Of which book?
Empire Striketh Back. In Act 2, Princess Leia was played by me.
Well, of course. Who else?
And the only thing funnier than me reading it was everyone else trying not to laugh at me reading it.
I don't know why they would laugh.
It was painful. Oh yeah, Zoe did not call while driving this time. Last time she called, I thought there was like an emergency. So, but you're gonna bring the best car bucket back
At some point, I've been toying around with a couple ideas, but nothing official yet.
Just get that feedback up.
Yeah, I know. I really should. The funny thing is, because I've been kicking around a video idea for a while, and I've got access to an entire abandoned movie theater that I've been watching. So the sound quality is amazing in there. So I bought a cheap pair of lav mics.
Oh, nice.
So while I'm walking around the empty building, I can just sit there and talk to myself.
Oh yeah, you need an Afghan and a pipe, and you can sit in one of those movie theater seats and reminiscent about you could sit in just take all your copies of Revenge of the Sith and sit one in each seat.
Yeah.
That's
not a bad idea.
That's an actual cool picture right there.
How have you gentlemen been?
Good. What do you think of our new intro? Have you seen our super special effects in our new intro?
I have not. I joined in a little late while I was sitting here.
Well, you're gonna sit through the outro because I was too lazy to make an outro, so we just played the same intro.
That works.
You just don't make it backwards. It's the same direction.
Yeah. So, John, hang on. We're going to sign out because we're trying to stick with our under an hour, which means we're usually an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But we are going to, before we do that, I am going to do one last commercial for Marcus's thing because he was another 30 seconds. And thank you for all the people that stuck with us. Hang on. They keep changing this for me.
Most visitors yet.
I know, right? And most interaction. I'll get a really nice report from YouTube and TikTok. I don't know how many people. TikTok, I'll just hear from all my students. Hey, Mr. Hinton, I saw you and said hi, and then I have to go in and just block all my students' accounts. All right, here's the commercial. And that's from our buddy Marcus. So, all right. So everyone, we're going to play the whole thing through since John hasn't seen it. And then we're going to probably talk to John forever. But Everyone, again, thank you. Ken, where can they find you?
All sorts of different places, but for tonight, I'll just stick with the Inflatable Falcon.
All right, and me, you can find here the Inflatable Falcon, 500 First Cast, helping Zoe out with Star Wars Geek Girl. Please like and subscribe, rate, share, because if you don't, it's like stealing.
And I don't know if I mentioned this early on, but the Rambling Star Wars fan now has 21 subscribers.
Nice.
Ooh.
And March Madness is at StarWarsGeekGirl.com. So make sure you sign up and pick your bracket for March Madness. Vote for your bracket. So, all right, guys, we will see you in a week. And here it goes.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, right, left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's raise the bar. Hey! 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 Hey, hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that